I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So the next panel that we have for you is a group from International Paper, and we're super excited to have them here with us. IP has been really involved with the West Tennessee STEM Hub. Big thanks to Stephen over here for, I know, helping to coordinate all of this as well. But today they're going to talk a bit about a day in the life of IT, and we've got Herb Benton, who is the Senior IT Manager, Greg Hardy, an IT Business Analyst, and Debbie Smith, who's a Senior IT Manager as well, and she's with the manufacturing part of the organization. So I am going to step out of the way and let them take over.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. All right, so here's our agenda that we're going to kind of talk about, and let me know if you can't hear me. My voice has a tendency to kind of go down low. All right, thank you. So we're going to kind of go through the agenda, the introductions, why STEM matters. We're going to go through IT is everywhere from an industry standpoint, in addition to going through a personal view of IT, some lesson plan applications, some careers in IT, and then have some questions from you guys. So why does STEM matter? Well, everybody agrees that the growth in technology is great, but it creates an unintended problem. So who agrees with that? You know, Department of Labor, there's some STEM task forces from the president, the computer world, local companies like IP, like Medtronic, AutoZone, FedEx, etc. A lot of different technology leaders, and then other hundreds of companies around the world. Now, the problem with that unintended problem is that we don't have enough computer skilled labor. Right now, it's already projected that by the year 2020, we're going to have 1 million computer-related jobs that won't go filled. I just found out, I was looking up yesterday with the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they're projecting a 12% growth in IT-related jobs by 2024. And out of those jobs, it's about 5 million jobs. Out of those jobs, you're looking at about $81,000 the median income for those particular jobs, compared to other jobs at about $36,000. Now, when you think about this million-person job shortage, that doesn't take into account retirements. So over the next 10, 20, 15 years, next 5, 10, 15 years, there's going to be a lot of retirements of people that are in IT. So we've got to replace the people that are retiring in addition to trying to keep up with the demand that's starting to come to us. So one of the things we look at from the standpoint of business, this is bad, is that we want to make sure we encourage students to enroll in STEM-related classes, to inspire those students, to motivate them, and then to give them confidence. My kids, myself, I tried my best to get them interested in STEM. I haven't had much success at all. I'm trying to figure out why, because I'm in IT, and I'm like, guys, you can make a lot of money, and you can have a good career in IT. They're not biting at all. So one of the things, and the reason why they're not biting, is that most people view IT as either you're coding, you are developing apps, you're fixing things like repairing, or you're building a computer. IT is way more than that. There are many, many jobs within IT. So I'm going to show you this little film and then kind of talk to you about it. There was a reason I kind of showed that. And that was to say that if you looked at what Amazon is trying to do, we had all kinds of STEM-related items in that video. You had GPS, you had velocity, you had math, you had science, you had technology, you had coding, you had all kinds of IT-related positions or roles within that film. So what I'm going to kind of take you to now is from my IT is everywhere. IT is everywhere from an industry standpoint, and I'm also going to use Amazon as that example. So what I'm looking at doing now is kind of taking you through, normally you got to order to invoice, but I'm just going to take you through from an order to delivery. And then we'll follow that back up in subsequent slides with what are the IT jobs behind that you can actually get your students to start thinking about. I mean, one of the things that I get asked all the time, even from family members, is I get calls, how do I fix this printer? I got a blue screen, what do I do? Well, I'm at Best Buy, what kind of laptop should I buy? And I'm like, I have no idea. Or I'll get the question, can you build me a website? I probably could, but I won't. Right? So we're trying to get people to not just look at IT from the standpoint of Geek Squad or from the standpoint of just coding all the time. Okay? So you saw at that video, that person had a smartphone or tablet. You can use it from a PC. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. You had to have a connection, right? Whether it's LTE, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or a hard code Cat5 or Cat6. You had a website, you had a mobile app, and then you placed the order. Next, the warehouse receives that order. It goes to get fulfilled. That may be through RF devices, that may be through robotics, whatever. And then the order gets shipped. How many people have not ever ordered off of Amazon? Good. Scared me.
We only care about the boxes, not necessarily Amazon.
So you get those orders shipped, and you get an email or you get a text that says it's in transit, and you can start to track your shipment. The carrier picks it up, and generally they're going to sort it if they're going to the same zip code with multiple boxes, right? And then you get into tracking your order, so you want to know exactly where it's at. And then normally it'll get scanned for delivery. So whoever's got that package, they'll scan that package, the barcode, and then of course they leave that at your door. Once that is delivered at your door, the next thing that happens is you get a delivery confirmation, a text generally, right? And then you get a survey from Amazon normally. Rate this product, how good was your delivery on time, etc. So, I hate that smile. In the background, let's talk about what was actually happening from an IT job standpoint. Now, I'm not going to go through every last one of these jobs because there's just too many. I think I want to make sure you guys get impressed with IT is more than just the coding and the things that people really kind of hear about day in and day out. It's really, really much more than that. And it's careers. It's not just a job. It's careers behind this. So if you think about this from an IT standpoint, for your students, with IT, you have to learn. If you take an IT job, you're pretty much going to be learning the rest of your life. Right? It used to be that IT would kind of flip about every 5, 6 years. It's gotten to be so fast now, it's flipping every 18 to 24 months. So you've got to constantly learn as an IT individual because there's no way you can keep up with Microsoft as an individual from an IT standpoint or Google or the rest of them, but you've got to keep on top of what's actually happening if you're in IT. Okay? So then you looked at that smartphone. We talked about the cell network or the Wi-Fi or the mobile website. And behind that, you've got software development, you've got hardware engineers, you've got mobility, you've got e-commerce, you've got security, you've got people that are business analysts, somebody like a Greg. You've got people that do analytics, right? So they're capturing the information of when that package got to you, when it arrived, and then they send you that survey back, and they're taking that survey and running analytics through that survey. So the next time that you are on Amazon, or next time you're in your email, there's a pop-up, hey, based upon your previous order, how about trying this, this, and this? So they've got analytics behind that, and you've got people, which you would call data scientists from an IT standpoint, that's actually looking at that. So if you go to the next portion of it, the order placement, the warehouse receiving it, and then the fulfillment, again, you got all these different types of jobs that's behind it. So nowhere on here do you see just one thing that says repair or just development, right? you've got different parts of IT, different IT job roles. In addition, I'll kind of go to the next one. One of the things that kind of carries across all of this, I mean, one thing you see we've got on here is connectivity. You got to be connected to make that order, right? You got to have security. I think everybody's heard about a lot of the different types of hacks that are constantly going on with people stealing data. You've got to have somebody that can remotely support you. You've got to have an architecture. You've got to have the network. So there's all these jobs behind the scenes that are IT jobs that people don't necessarily see up front because everything works. Now, when it doesn't work, everybody knows about it because that's when you start getting those phone calls, especially in IT. Okay? So as you carry on, again, as we went through that whole carrier sorting, now you start getting into robotics, you start getting into this business process integration, the mobility, the analytics around it, project management, telecom. And then you start to get, really more into those surveys, and that's when you start getting back again into those analytics. And that's pretty much it from what I'm going to be talking about. Debbie Smith is going to actually take you through this from a personal standpoint. But just realize that IT is way more than just, the Geek Squad. And that's one of the things that we go out to a lot of the different high schools and middle schools around Memphis, and we do kind of like an IT outreach. And we go talk to middle schoolers. We go talk to high schoolers. And every time that I go and do that, the number one thing most of them think is it's coding. It's boring. It's something I really don't want to do. I really rather do something fun, like let me just create apps. But I think, you really have to get the focus on looking at IT as a broad profession versus these one individual things that IT may do. Okay?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Debbie Smith. I'm a 27-year employee with International Paper. I'm going to step back and tell you a little bit about IP in forms of the industry here, just to give you a taste of that. So International Paper is the largest paper and packaging company in the world. We have over 65,000 employees in 31 different countries. We have over 1,000 facilities, 44 currencies, and 13 languages that we deal with from an IT perspective. Certainly in engineering services and some of those technology specialists that we have within the company as well. We produce things such as printer copier paper, envelopes, corrugated packaging, so hence our very interest in the boxes that are delivering from all of our online purchases. We also do shipping containers, consumer type of products, the boxes and things that you're like a DVD or something like that might come in. Cups. We have a huge presence with Starbucks and McDonald's, for example, and a lot of other different channels of products. I say all that to tell you that's homegrown. That's here. That's in Memphis, on the corner of Poplar and Massey. The three of us are all Memphis natives, born and raised, and we're working for a local company. So IP's interested in local talent. We're interested in growing and raising that talent within our school system, and that's the reason Stephen and the three of us are participating here, is to help you understand and demystify a little bit more about IT if you're not aware already, and what the challenging and interesting careers that are out there for students, and to get a good start on their education in that area, and a lot of creativity that can go into that. So just wanted to give a little bit more flavor there. From a personal perspective, I'm going to walk you through how you encounter IT every single day of your life, whether you realize it or not, and in everything that you do. So in this scenario, I've taken a day off from work, and I've got some errands and things to take care of. And so I'm going to walk you through maybe the day that I've organized. So I'm planning my day. I woke up this morning, and I rely on my smart device, my phone, to wake me up. I set the alarm. Of course, I hit the snooze button once or twice. But it still continues to ring and wake up. I can depend on that working and functioning well. It depends on me having some type of connectivity, whether it is through the phone company or through my Wi-Fi connection. Again, some IT interest there. And what do I check before I kind of get up as I'm waking up in the middle of the morning there? Is I might check the news, might check my calendar. I certainly check the weather. check my email. You know, all of us have something that we kind of get on that phone and take a look at. Again, somebody developed that. Somebody actually had creativity to design that and to think about the idea, all within IT. There's also a connectivity called Bluetooth. Many of y'all are aware of that. And that connects to my smartwatch, which I'm coming to love more and more, that also will set an alarm or see my email, get my text, get my phone call, etc. A lot of IT interest in having the smartwatch and the careers that went into that behind that. So I get up, I get ready, and before I leave, I want to make sure I secure my home. I have a security system. It happens to be ADT. No preference there, but there's a lot of different things that I take advantage of. I have a little bit of a video. I can see information on the app that's on my smartphone. When I'm not there, the video can play and see it in my house. I can also arm it. I can see if anybody disarmed it. I can record, and I can do all this through some IT technology. So I've secured my home, and then I am off to my first appointment of the day, which is to go see the optometrist. And I get there, you know, hey, you have to sit a while when you're at the doctor's office before you can be seen. So again, I take advantage of some of the wonderful creations that we have out there and available to us. Might play a little Sudoku to pass the time. Oh, and I get a text. I've been notified by UPS that I have a shipment today, and it's going to arrive. See, no preference with Amazon or UPS or anything. To be able to get that notification and see, and they're planning to deliver between 12 and 4. Okay, great. I'll make sure that I look for that on my doorstep. I also might take a look at my email again, but I also got a text from my hairdresser saying, don't forget your appointment tomorrow that you've got. In fact, I am so trained to get that text now that if I don't get it, I call to see if I actually still have an appointment. You know, so that's the value of that kind of IT engagement that I've got. And I also forgot, I'm just thinking that, you know, the new shows are starting up next week, and I want to make sure that I've set all the recordings that I want on my DVR. I could do that from my phone. That's IT right there in action. So that picture there at my appointment, or a picture of my eyeballs, so there's a program there that they use. So again, in medical research, to be able to identify and see if I have any problems with my eyes, and it does a comparison from the last visit that I had. Everything looks good. I'm ready to leave, but before I do, I'm going to make sure that later on today I'm going to take a look and see. I need a little bit of a change in my prescription, and I'm going to try on glasses through an app, see how they look on my face before I go anywhere. I don't have time to go visit and get glasses today, though, but that might be something I take a look at. So I get in my car and get in the parking lot. I haven't turned on the car yet. I'm going, you know, there's all these traffic issues at 240 and 40. If anybody heads that way back to Cordova, my appointment was in Germantown. Do I go down the equally horrible Germantown Road, or do I go through that intersection? And so I can go and check the traffic now. So TDOT has an app that allows me to go see what that traffic looks like live, the picture on the right. And also you can see kind of green, red, and whether there's traffic backup or not. So a great tool and device to use. It looks like it's clear on the interstate, so I'm going to head on that way. And once I start towards my next errand, I've got 3 stops I'm going to make. I'm going to head to the grocery store to pick up a couple of things. And they've learned some things about me. So there's some machine learning going on there, and they generate some coupons when I check out that just happen to be some based on some other purchases that I've had. If I use the little, like a Kroger card or, you know, whatever card any grocery store might, as a loyalty program. So when I check out, that is there. And my next stop is a real quick stop to the hardware store. I need to check some pricing on something that's on sale. I just can't do that online in this particular instance. And you can use your phone to, you know, look at that barcode or that QR code that gives you some information. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that before. You can do a little free app to read that and get information about that. And so I can check that price. So I take care of my business at the hardware store, and then I run through the ATM real quick and get some money for the evening activities that I have planned. So I finally get home at last, make some lunch, and also get alerted to, I've got a business trip starting the following Monday. Don't forget to, if you want to upgrade or do anything, I have a notification from my airline that I've booked with there. I also enjoy doing some art and craft type of things and sew and quilt, and so there's a online system called Craftsy that allows you to enroll in classes either live or online at your on demand. And I use my sewing machine that has also computer-related information on it and updates that you can sync to get the latest updates to have your sewing machine function as succinctly as possible. So a lot of different items there. But before I do anything else, I'm going to make my reservations for my fun later. I'm going to Open Table and make my reservation for dinner, and then I'm going to make my reservations for my movie on Flixster. And I'm not going to rely on my online tickets. I'm going to print those because I love paper. And I'm going to use my handy-dandy International Paper Hammer Mill print app to do that. Again, IT at its best right there. So that's a lot that happened in a very short period of time, but it shows just how reliant I've become on some of these smart devices. And I'm sure that you have some of those same experiences, maybe not to that extent or maybe even more so. But to give you a flavor, an idea that you can tell your students about how that IT is so pervasive in everything that they do, and more really for them, I think, than us, especially those of us that are getting older. So Herb walked through many of the different types of careers. I'm going to highlight just a few differences here that we may not have talked about. Think about someone that may be creative or enjoys to write, and they have a little bit of a technical bent to them. There's technical writer jobs that require some type of a little bit of an IT understanding. My history is I've never coded. I don't know how to code, but I've done business analytical work and also worked as the project manager as my main role and oversee a portfolio of projects now working with our manufacturing group, which has all kinds of STEM applications to it. So, but there's technical writers. There's the support desk when you call and you need help. People that do design. I like to be creative, and so in some art, that creative mind can come to bear in IT work and thinking about how do I want to design this and contributing towards that. We also see some things around analytics around the web. How many times did someone click on that button on the web? People keep up with that to see whether they need to change something or something's being engaging or not around that website. We do that in some of our online ordering that we make available to our customers. So securing my home, the very last item I bring up there is vendor management. So these are third parties that we may partner with that actually produce and do the IT work on our behalf. We may buy software to utilize instead of us writing it ourselves. And so there's engagement with those vendors and those other companies to draw up contracts, negotiate a price, and do that. You need to have a decent understanding of software in order to do some of that. And then I think that's all I want to draw out here, but there's, again, the repetition of the variety of the different roles. And then I talked a little bit about on that coupon generation at the grocery store. It's a little creepy when they know what you've done and what you've got. It's like the ads, the smart ads on the, when you're on the website, and because they're keeping up with, where you're clicking and what you're doing. But it's that machine learning that goes on behind the scenes that takes an analytical and a degree that allows you to think of all of those complex calculations and algorithms to figure out what to send to the person, the consumer like me. Some other different items there, the info security, we cannot overemphasize. I think if I was to do a different major today, I would think about forensics and IT or cybersecurity. fascinating. If people like to investigate or uncover problems and solve those problems, that's another way to do that, and all with an IT degree in trying to solve those types of problems. So that's a day in the life of a personal experience, and you saw that was really just about 4 or 5, 6 hours there. You have probably some of your own examples, and that's something that you could probably walk through as part of a lesson plan is, what did you do today that touched on IT? And help them start uncovering and discovering it's more than just what we're talking about programming. It's more than taking care of the hardware and the laptops and such. So what we have for you also is a case study that Stephanie will have all this information that we put together that you might be able to use in the classroom that allows you to walk through a business problem about kind of an order to cash and a proof of delivery, getting into the scenario that Herb talked about. But at the end is that how do I confirm that that delivery actually took place? How can I prove that? And so there's a proof of delivery, kind of walk you through that scenario and some different questions that you can think about and ask. We also are including a few links around design thinking. So we haven't really talked about that, but at the front end of every single one of those things I did, there was a design that took place that helped people to understand, how does this thing need to work? And so the idea behind the design thinking is to, I've got a problem, I've got an issue, I've got a challenge that I'm trying to solve. And so you do a bunch of discovery work. You get a diverse group of thinkers in the room that allow you to get really good perspective to bounce off of each other and to help people understand and get a good cross-section of perspective. You interpret all of the information. You think about it in different ways. And there's no there initially. It's all about what if, what can I do, what are things, because an idea that the three of us, we may come from 3 totally different viewpoints, but by the time you meld it all together, you've got something really great that may work. So you have all these different ideas that come together, so a stage of ideation. And then you experiment. I love what the panelists said earlier. It's okay to fail. We learn most through our failures. And, there's the reward in failure is the learning, and how great that is to be able to apply that and then teach others what you learned through that failure also. And so I get a little worried today in how I see, there's an award for everything of success, but we never really take time to reward the failure and what was learned through that. And IT has a lot of iterations of work and say, that did not work. Okay, what did we learn from that? Put it aside. Let's not forget that. Let's make sure we don't repeat that mistake. And share that lesson with others. So that's all part of design thinking too. And then you continue to evolve. So there's these stages of design thinking. There's some links there if you're not already aware of all of that you can use. And that's part of kind of the development process within IT. We also, that Greg's going to talk about, will have an IT jobs handout. So some of the variety of jobs and more that we've talked about will be there on that list to give you an idea, and then you can do some additional research if you want in any of those. Yeah, and I've talked about the guiding principles.
All right. Well, good morning. My name is Greg Hardy. I'm a graduate of the University of Memphis, a native Memphian, and I've been here with International Paper for about 6 years now. So I've thoroughly enjoyed my time thus far. I'm just going to briefly just chat with you a little bit about just some of the careers within IT, because again, as Herb and Debbie have said, when I do some of the college recruiting here at the University of Memphis, a lot of people often think about coding, and that's about it. And they say, I don't want to code. What else is there out there? So I'm just going to briefly just chat a little bit with you about some of the opportunities that are out there. So as Herb mentioned, by 2020, there will be approximately 1 million jobs, technology jobs, to go unfilled because we don't have the qualified candidates. Now just think about that. 1 million high-paying positions that go unfilled. That's, to me, that is an insane amount of jobs. So what can we do about this? If we can get our students to take the additional math, the additional science, and the additional computer classes, this will help prepare them to pursue computer-related and STEM-related degrees such as computer science, computer engineering, in Management Information Systems. Me personally, I have a degree in MIS, and I really enjoyed that degree because half of my classes were business classes and the other half were computer classes. And so that gave me the opportunity and allowed me to determine my own personal career path. Did I want to be more technical, or did I want to be more business focused? And I personally decided to be a little bit more on the business focused side of it, but at the same time, I do understand the technical components. Again, if we can get our students to not only pursue that, but again, work hard, get the good grades, and then they will be in very high demand. Again, I do some of the college recruiting here at the University of Memphis, and so I'm talking with students, just trying to help them out in terms of, what things can they be doing. One example is an internship. When they're in college, an internship, that is one of the easiest ways into many of the major companies and corporations in America itself. From one thing I've been told is that, that's really the new entry-level careers or internships. So these are the type of things that we need to start on the early end, from middle school and early high school, start having these discussions with our students to prepare them for these type of roles. I like this, Steve. So I won't go through all of these because I'm going to talk a little bit about some of them later, but the point of this slide is I just want to let you know that there are literally hundreds of IT careers out there. Again, hundreds. And these are just a few from, again, business intelligence, database management, mobility, telecom. There's just an enormous amount of opportunities out there, again, depending on your personal preference. And here's just a few of some of the well-known careers out there. So, one, project management. So when I was in a project management role, my responsibilities, what I would do was I would work with our business partners, understand their requirements, understand their processes, and then I would take this information and work with the proper IT teams to help figure out what solutions can we provide to the business. And then I would take this information and again run a project, help implement this project from process improvements to efficiencies, and of course, handling the budget and the cost. Again, that all goes back to my MIS degree where, again, I understand the IT components, but from a budgeting and cost standpoint, I understand the accounting and the finance involved as well. On the right side of this, we have what we call at International Paper our telepresence room. So just think about FaceTime beefed up. So we have large monitors where we can have business meetings and conversations with counterparts around the world. So from Asia to India to Brazil, we can have these meetings, and it saves time, saves travel costs. But you have to think about, someone has to set this up. So we have just the hardware that must be set up, but also in terms of some of the connections and connectivity aspects around that. So there's opportunities and careers in that area as well. On the bottom left side, this is cybersecurity. So this has become a major topic more recently. But just think about a few years back when Target had the recent data breach. Companies now, they're willing to pay qualified individuals a lot of money to be able to secure their data and their information because they have an increased responsibility to secure this information, not just their own personal company-wide information, but the consumer and the data, the consumer information. So that's a growing space as well. And as Herb and Debbie mentioned in the bottom right corner, some business analytics. Again, going back to the Amazon example, a lot of companies, pretty much every company, even from a personal standpoint, we produce a lot of data on a daily basis. But the competitive advantage comes from being able to use this data in the most effective way, making sense of the information. One example going back to the Amazon is if you're about to check out with an item, Amazon, they will recommend 2 or 3 additional items because they've done the analytics and they know what type of products that individuals are purchasing, similar to what you're purchasing. So that helps in terms of their profitability, but again, that competitive advantage comes from understanding the massive amount of data that's being produced. So us from an industry standpoint, how can we help? So as you see on the slide, there's a number of examples from STEM challenges, helping to sponsor some robotics competitions, mentoring, career fairs, job shadowing, adopting schools. But at the end of the day, it comes down to us, as professionals, we have to get involved with our communities, get involved with our schools. we have a huge responsibility in terms of the future of not only the city, but this country. We have to make that impact, with our youth, and not wait until they're in college, but start from an early age, because a lot of our youth, they don't know the opportunities that are out there. Because, for example, me and Stephen, we go to numerous middle schools and high schools, and we'll give STEM presentations. And what we're trying to do is just, spark that imagination in the kids, let them know what's out there. Because, again, depending on where you grow up, you might not know what's really out there in the world. So that's, the real benefit and the real thing that we have to do as professionals is really get out there and tell and inform our students and our kids, what is really available to them. And then lastly, just supporting the West Tennessee STEM Hub. This organization, they have a wealth of knowledge and resources. So, of course, financially support them. But, in terms of using these resources, they have a number of robotics kits that can be checked out and used if if teachers would like to, use that and have some sessions around that. Again, different things of that nature. So, again, going back to, please utilize the resources that are out there, and it will greatly impact our students and help, our city grow as well. Thank you. And so now I guess we'll transition to the... I guess we can transition now into more of the panel and the Q&A aspects of this.
Yeah, so Stephanie's instructions about the microphone.
I have a question right here. My name is Jermaine Thurman. I'm a STEM coordinator, math coach, science coach at Memphis Business Academy. I think I have a unique perspective because, like you all, I'm from Memphis. I'm a licensed civil engineer, 15 years experience before I got into education. So if there's like a Venn diagram of STEM stakeholders, I'm probably right there in the middle of the intersection. I'm very grateful for that slide where you showed, how could industry, assist, and I'm extremely grateful that you acknowledge that there needs to be more involvement. What I see from my perspective in working with the youth, we need access to your expertise. That's like the greatest obstacle. Seeing what you do is one thing, but students learn by doing. Mentoring is great, but when you have a robotics team and you need expertise on Java programming, you're probably not going to get that from a school teacher. When you're trying to, teachers will help students acquire knowledge when we teach the curriculum, but when you get to that ultimate test, can they apply the knowledge in a real world situation? It will be extremely helpful if we can have some type of exchange where we can get guidance through maybe seeing what you do, or maybe the students seeing what you do, where we can collaborate and adjust our curriculum so we can have that application component. Because it's almost like you all have the peanut butter, we have the chocolate, and we need to make a Reese's. That's the best way I can sum it up. And I mean, you all making the step, coming in here and talking to us about it, that is extremely helpful. But you tell me, I tell them, but it's going to be lost. We need to be at the same table, and it needs to be some hands-on activity, some hands-on engagement, so we can make progress. Because I heard in the last panel, I hear and I read that companies can't find local talent. Well, I'm from this city. You all are from this city. I have to push back on that. The talent is here. We have it at Memphis Business Academy. I see it every day. But in order for us to get the talent to the level where it can be helpful to you all, we need access to your expertise. And it needs to be like in a setting where the students have access. Everybody can't go to a company. I mean, money is great. We'll never turn that down. But time is a valuable resource. Your time, if we can get an ounce of that regularly, I mean, we can exploit that, we can leverage that, and we can make sure that talent is prepared, before they get to college. So they can graduate college, and they can not only help you all, but maybe they can create some more companies to help our city on a grander level. But I'm interested in, any type of feedback you can give us of how we can create some type of pipeline where we have access to professionals who can maybe come in to assist with those. I think what's the meat part of the STEM, where they actually understand that application component, and we can, nourish that talent. All right.
I don't know where Stephanie went. So, I think great comments on involvement. I think that's something that we have really started to try to focus on, is not just about the funding, it's about the coming to and helping out. I think if there's interest or things that we can, get in contact with Stephanie and we can work through that. One of the things that we've talked about as a company in our outreach group is how can we partner with other companies? I heard the panelists earlier talking about the avenues that she has to communicate and get others involved. I have another organization I'm part of called the Society of Information Management, SIM. I think you know Ed Charbonneau, that works with robotics. He may have worked a little bit with Memphis Business Academy, but another avenue to other CIOs within other companies to help draw and really focus on outreach, which is really the purpose of that organization. So I think all of us have a lot of connections and opportunities, and we need to rally the troops is part of what we need to do as industry to help out our students. So I think those were excellent comments.
I think, also going back to the access to the experts, I think part of that would be us trying to figure out, because a lot of times you're not going to physically get that student there, right? Or that expert may be working on the other side of the world. So we got to start looking at how do we put together maybe a WebEx, right? Pretty much kind of get a program together so that you can meet some of those experts or at least get access to them, whether it's by email or whatever. I think WebEx will probably be the most efficient way to do it, because it's going to be kind of hard to get a student out to International Paper, for instance, when it's during the daytime, right? When the expert may not necessarily be available because they're working on the project. But I think it's a very good idea of making sure that we've got a pool of experts. And it may not necessarily be IP alone, but it may be Medtronic, it may be Smith & Nephew, and it may be just a pool of expertise that we need to get together and try to look at doing. Maybe it's a virtual team. Steve.
Another question?
I'd like to piggyback off of the last statement that the man in the blue jacket had said. I think we should have an organic repository that we could all put our lesson plans, all the companies' names that we are starting to find and make connections with. And I didn't know, I've been looking a little bit at the website, but if there's some place that we could, if we know of companies who would come and talk and just start building a resource bank for all of us to go to instead of going to Google. You can turn my mic off now.
Well, I'll just chime in there and say that one of the things that we're going to be announcing at the end is that we are actually going to, so undrum roll, but we are going to be starting a community of practice online where we are hoping to really engage all of you plus all of our industry experts as well as many, many more people. And then we're actually going to try to launch this across the state as well, so that this will be a way for us to keep these communications going and share those ideas. But we also have a speakers bureau through the STEM Hub as well. We have lots of different resources in there too, such as STEM spotlights and things like that, that can also help share the information about what are the different career pathways. And we still need more industry people to be involved in that also. Because again, they've been talking about the example with IT, and I'm always talking about the example with civil engineering. When I talk to students and I ask them why they don't want to be a civil engineer, they say, well, it's because I don't want to design a bridge. And I'm saying, well, that's great. I didn't want to do that either, and I didn't. You could do this or this or this or this. And so those spotlights, we're really trying to profile as many different people in the same job categories so that students can see, wow, I could do this or I could do that, and I might look like this person, or I have a background like that person, and they can really start to make those connections as well. So we are trying to build those resources. The only thing that I don't think that we have at the moment is the way to share the lesson plans, but hopefully through that community of practice we'll be able to build something out of that to do that, because that's a great idea.
So if we know of companies and we've discovered people who would come to schools, do we just shoot you an email with that resource to put it up to share with others?
Well, in the community of practice, you'll be able to share with one another right there.
Okay.
More questions? Got a couple more minutes.
I've got a question. Oh, need to sit back. Okay, so I know students who are expert programmers in Java. I've known kids who started when they were 8 years old. They're really good programmers. Right now, there's really nothing in our city that helps guide those kids. And, well, we have Memphis Tech Community too, MemTech, but that's still mostly adults. And so, you know, I'm thinking, where are the mentorships available for these kids so that they won't get discouraged or get frustrated, because coding is something kids are teaching themselves. That's not really a class that you can take, but they can develop with some of the best developers out there. I know this because my son is one of them, and there was nothing available for him, and it was a very frustrating time. There's also very, very few scholarships, specifically that come from companies, and if they do, you have to be, I hate to say it, but you have to be very poor in order to get them. So I think that kids need something in the middle before they actually get to the company to help mentor them, because in school I don't teach coding. I can make suggestions, but that's where we lose a lot of people.
What specific age are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about middle school.
Middle
because
school age.
yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Code Crew?
No.
There are a couple of organizations that I think are newer and are addressing a lot of what you're asking about, and there are going to be some sessions later today in the breakout where you'll learn about some of those resources.
Okay.
And they're not us. I mean, they're people. But
I'll just make a quick comment about that. I would completely agree with you on that, and that's, I think, one reason why we have this, session today, is to really try to figure out, how do we make that change? Like you said, there are a lot of bright kids out there. They just don't know the avenues, how to pursue certain degrees or certain areas, or they don't really know what to do. Not just the kids, but even the parents, they just don't know. And so that's one reason why we're here today, is to really talk and discuss and help paint that pathway and that picture in terms of how do we get that child that has, he has an ambition. He's eager to learn. He may already be learning, but how do we translate that to going to school, not just college, but maybe a technical school, if if that's the right path, and then getting into one of these jobs or careers at International Paper or at Google, fun jobs like that. So I think that's one of the benefits of today's session, is to try to figure this out.
Hello, Miss Brenda, Miss Maddox. It's Angel. Oh, I think I have it now. There you go. Okay, I think I have. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
You're right.
Just wanted to make a quick comment about industry partnerships and the availability of industry folks. So I don't know how hard it was for you guys to make the case to come to this conference today. It wasn't that difficult for me, because I've made the case to my upper management of the reason we need to participate in things like this, but not all companies are there yet. especially if you work for a consulting firm. If your billable rate's $250, $300 an hour, the company is losing you being there. They don't see the assets. They don't see the benefit of you taking the time out of the company to participate yet. So please be patient with industry partners and just be aware that our time here isn't free. The company loses when we're here at the immediate value. So keep that in mind when we build these partnerships. It's not free. Not that I'm saying we should be paid. It should not be paid. I'm not implying that at all. But just be aware of that.
So I just wanted to comment, involving these kids at a very young age, I absolutely agree with, and we don't want to see them get frustrated. And just one idea that I had was if you can help to develop face cards for your best, who are the best within the STEM groups, and then bring them to the school board, bring them to administration, and let them have an avenue to speak, let them have an avenue to give back within the community. And then what you're doing is a microcosm almost of what happens in industry. They get a chance to solve some of the biggest problems that the city has, and even at a young age. And what that does is it develops an allegiance, not just between the city and the kids, but then also between the corporate sponsorship and their achievements. So if we can start to change that conversation from achievement-based and how do we change our city from the inside out, I think those are the things that change it from the inside out, being willing to not just network, but also to say, if you can code, then you can help us figure out this transportation problem, because we need you. And then letting them put that on their resume so that they can have a better and bigger global implication for their lifetime.
Do we have one last? Oh, sorry.
So Stephanie, to speak to the lady's comment on programmers, I did have dinner last night with Mecca, and he's intending on attending later today. But in the meantime, www.code-crew.org. Again, www.code-crew.org.
Great, thank you. Well, let's give our panel a big round of applause and thank them for being here today.